Ladies and gentlemen, the referee is now to find out 4 minutes, 39 seconds, the round determined by TKO.
¡Campeón! ¡Cebollero! ¡Bien! ¡Bien! ¡Somos campeones, Mike! ¡Bien! ¡Cebollero!
Alex, a few weeks ago, we got a brand new featherweight champion in LUX Fight League. Edgar Delgado conquered Rivero to take the vacant title. Exciting matchup back and forth. Ended up with Edgar Delgado getting the third round finish via TKO. Ironically, the one card you missed because you were doing your own event with Versus that same weekend. What do you think of our new featherweight champion for LUX Fight League?
Dude, he did fantastic, man. It was a Cebollero, as they call him, the onion man or the onion farmer, as if you were to get the translation.
Yeah, because he came from working on an onion farm.
Isn't that awesome? No, he did great. He did fantastic. He had I don't think there was a back and forth really. It was really a one-sided beatdown. And honestly, and if you look back at our previous,
he beat him wherever they went.
Yeah, wherever he beat him exactly at the stand-up, on the ground, just destroyed him. I mean, it was a one-sided beatdown, man. I was kind of surprised, man, that Rivero didn't put up, more of a challenge in the fight. In fact, I thought that Rivero was going to win this fight. I had called it.
No, because I picked Edgar.
And so it's the first time you got it right there, Mike.
Second time. Anyway,
second time. All right. But anyway,
sleep on my boy.
Okay, well, anyways, I just thought that it was just a fabulous performance there from Cebollero. He did great. It really was like a great performance on his part. I mean, he's really turned it around ever since he had fought for the title at 155 pounds against who was our boy?
It's just new life at 145 pounds. He's stronger than everybody down there. He's still just as fast, which is always the concern when you drop down a weight class. Does your speed carry over? When you go up, obviously you're usually the faster fighter. But when you come down, usually it's a difference. But for him, his length, his skills, just getting in and out of positions. And, I mean, obviously the title fight with Draco Casillo, I mean, you can't really count that finish because it was a little bit sneaky. I'm not going to call it shady, but you act like you're walking off, come back when the guy has his guard down and knock him out. That's Delgado's fault. But, they say keep your guard up at all times, right? Especially in boxing, like always keep your guard up. You saw Mayweather when he knocked out Ortiz, kind of like the same way. That was his fault, But at the same time, Delgado since then went down to featherweights, rebounded with a few wins. Now he's the man in that division. It makes me wonder. You got a couple other people coming up. You got Samoa, who won on that same card. Who do you think should be next for him at featherweight?
Oof. Man, that's a good one. That's a really good preference there, man. At 145 pounds in the featherweight division, you also have the performance, of course, and from the comeback kid, Babyface Patron, who's also fighting in there, is doing fantastic as well. Has got lost by didn't get that win when he fought against Rivero. And we all thought that it was going to be a good matchup, but boy, did Rivero put a whooping on Babyface Patron. So, but he has now come back, bounced back, and he's a guy that just constantly has a really good. What's that?
So he got that big win against Suarez a couple months ago.
Right. So I mean, the guy's just always full of you know, he's always up there when we're talking about contenderships. Now, is it going to be possible that he's going to be taking on the fight? Would he get the championship out? I don't know, man. But there's a lot of other guys that are coming in for that.
You also have to look how great Alejandro Corrales looked when he knocked out Lobo Reyes.
Oh, again, yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, that was another fight that we're kind of all looking at the featherweight division. So there's a lot of guys that are coming up on it.
It's not the deepest division they have in the promotion. Like, it used to be a lot deeper, I feel. Like, you have some people that can come up and down too. Obviously, Lazy Boy Rodriguez could probably come up if he wanted to, but he's even flirted with going down to 125, 135. He's flirted with lower divisions. You talked about Patron. I think he's probably the next guy up just because, if nothing else, name value. A lot of people don't know Corrales like that, but he's 5-2 now and had just a highlight reel win, which kind of puts you up there in the spotlight. But it's not their deepest division like it used to be. So it will be interesting to see what they do next. Obviously, they have a couple months to figure it out now. Shift is going to go to welterweight in the ladies for the next card. But on this card, were there any other highlights that really kind of stood out to you that really showed up? I mean, I think Barquero getting that big win with the rear naked over Amaya was awesome. A lot of us keep pumping up Irvin Amaya, but he's kind of lost on a couple of the biggest platforms he's had. Cebollero with the big win. You go down the card, it's just, Andres Leal got the big win over Barajas. So what were some of the other highlights on that card for you?
The return of Hugo Flores has been kind of like a fighter that I've been really excited about. I love that guy, man. That guy, his striking, his skill set, so good. The way he, and we saw some brilliances in the matchups with Draco Cosillo before he ended up going to Bellator. I think he's one of my favorite guys at 155 pounds. So Hugo Flores looked fantastic again. One-sided beatdown on this fight card. He's just my favorite to watch on that. He's like one of those sleeper guys, man. But he did a unanimous decision win, looked flawless. And then also, Andre Barquero, the guy who beat Irvin Amaya. We talk about Irvin Amaya a lot because of his striking and all that stuff. But yeah, he's had quite the ups and downs in his career. But this kid here, man, El Barquero showed down and put Irvin Amaya out in the first round.
We both kind of talked about it too. If Amaya kept his distance, he had a good chance. But if he get caught, we both kind of said it. If the guy gets his hands on you and grapples with you, that's it.
Yeah. And he did. And Irvin Amaya he didn't play a really good fight in this one. I was watching the fight this morning before the podcast, and I was just kind of like looking over, just to kind of refresh my memory and in that fight. And, knowing where the fight ended in the first round, you could see that Irvin Amaya was actually initiating some of those, those close range and trying to get inside on the clinch, against a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And we've already known that Irvin Amaya has had, kind of some ups and downs, especially when it comes to the ground game. But in this case, man, he was just outplayed and just outmaneuvered in this fight. So, but it also just shows the testament of just how slick this Andre Barquero is, man. This kid, man, he was even asking for the belt right after that, and I think it would be a well-deserved matchup there against the 135-pound champ.
Yeah, different problem for a different day, right? We're talking about featherweights. We got welterweights coming up. Get back to 135 pounds the next couple cards, but yeah, obviously we just got done dealing with all the featherweights. I'm sorry, the bantamweights with Jose Roro taking that title off Fito Rubio, which that would be a really fun matchup with Barquero versus Roro. That would be really good. But that was an exciting card. Of course, happened a few weeks ago. Do apologize to the fans at home. We're usually a lot more, but with things going crazy in Alex's life and my life, here we are. But we're going to try to get back on schedule every couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. And Alex on Labor Day, recording this on Labor Day, it'll be out on Wednesday. But look great Alex looks. Nice and clear. And
I know, right? Nice and relaxed and just chilling.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good day.
But that was LUX Fight League 35. Before we get to LUX Fight League 36, head over to FightersFirst.shop. You see Alex is rocking the Anwar shirt. Tarzan Alberto, he'll be on the next card. So I thought it was a good segue. Go ahead over to FightersFirst.shop, get the apparel, and support your favorite fighters like Alex, like Tarzan Alberto. It's our way of kind of sponsoring the fighters, giving them a little bit more money in their pockets so they can do what they do and do it well. Alex, it's a little too early. We still got a few weeks. October 6th coming up for the next card. It's going to be in Guadalajara, Jalisco. Obviously right in the backyard of our guy Tarzan. But he's not in the title fight. I wanted to get your early thoughts on a couple of the title fights they got going on for that card. Of course, Alan Dominguez and Antonio Suarez will be fighting for the inaugural welterweight title. And then we're finally getting Ellie Rodriguez versus Fernanda Munoz for that flyweight women's title. What are your thoughts on those two fights?
Well, it's great. I mean, this is coming off of the split decision win that Antonio Suarez was coming under. He did get that split decision win over Alan Dominguez. So this is kind of a rematch here, and so it's a very interesting matchup. How this is going to kind of turn out. I think it's going to be another exciting match. Alan Dominguez has been looking fantastic. He looks so much bigger too. We saw him at 170 pounds though, so I'm not sure if this is going to be is it going to be for the welterweight title?
Yep, it's the first ever welterweight title. Yeah,
so that's going to be really interesting. So a big investment there for LUX Fight League, right? That's they're investing on Alan Dominguez again and trying to push him on the.
Feels kind of safe to me. It feels like a safe pick to me because
that's okay.
Alan Dominguez is a company guy, right? And he has like a 500 record. And even though we know he's a fantastic fighter, he's probably not getting called up to the UFC tomorrow. You have Tarzan Alberto, you have Raul Zagara. Both those guys are undefeated rocket ships that could be called up tomorrow, right? So why put the title around somebody who might get it and then turn around and vacate it tomorrow? And I kind of see what they're doing, especially since Tarzan's going to be on this card against Tyson anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit. Like we could have, same thing they did with Aurora in the last one with Vito Rubio. They took two guys they know are going to be there instead of having somebody else that could turn around and take off on them.
Well, I think they're also investing in Guadalajara, right? Like Anuar Aburto is like a huge draw in Guadalajara. We saw that the last time we went. We've only been there once. Now,
he's right there from the beach area, right next to it.
Yeah, exactly. And so now we come out here again. Anuar Aburto does a fantastic job.
Right?
He does a great job. He finishes off. He does a great spectacular. Gets a performance. A great highlight performance there that he could get. I'm just, I'm not just saying he's going to smash, because he has a tough fighter in front of him. But if he does get through him, then you have yourself already a dedicated champion who is Alan Dominguez, a guy who's had,
assuming he beats Suarez.
So it makes sense to come back to Guadalajara. They're on the same schedule. We'll come back later this year, perhaps, maybe at the beginning of next, and we have a huge clash now. We have a fighter who's brings in a lot of eyeballs and a lot of excitement in Guadalajara, and I think it's actually a really, really good, brilliant move. And I think Alan Dominguez and Sarai Orozco. I think Sarai is also from Guadalajara. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, Alan Dominguez went to college at the University de Guadalajara.
Right. So there's a lot of Guadalajara things there, but for sure, Alan Dominguez. Anuar Aburto has a huge following, a big one. So it'll just brew some more interest in this fight. And I think it's actually kind of a genius move here for LUX Fight League.
Yeah, Alan fights out of the same camp with like Power Solorzano and all them, and obviously Sarai Orozco and everybody right there in Guadalajara. So it's local for both of them. And the build, assuming that Alan Dominguez gets through Suarez and gets that title, the build going towards him and Tarzan would be great for the next time they come back. Like I said, it's kind of playing it safe because Tarzan could get that call any day because you know very well that he's training in Vegas, Extreme Couture with all the UFC fighters.
Exactly.
UFC fighter. And, of course, who's in that backyard of Vegas? Dana White. So that, and he has that house in Maine that got robbed. But other than that, he spends a lot of time in Vegas. Obviously, the Apex is right there. The UFC training center is right there. Extreme Couture is right there. So they're all interacting with each other. And the more wins that Tarzan Alberto gets, you know very well he'll be knocking on that door. What do you think of the ladies finally getting together? Ellie's healed up. Fernanda got another win in the process, ready to go. Can Ellie hold off Fernanda Munoz?
Ooh, that's gonna be a good fight, man. Gosh, it's so hard to tell with the girls.
The first time they were matching up, you thought Ellie Rodriguez was going to win. Do you still think that the way Fernandez looked the last couple times?
Well, she's looked fantastic. Especially now it's coming out of Tijuana, training out there, man.
You better say the right things, or she might knock on your door.
Yeah, you gotta watch out. She's just been on a tear, man. I mean, she's got huge wins. The last 2 fights at Luke's, Danielle Villasmil, she just got her with the split decision. Got a unanimous over Cifuentes, a great performance there as well. And she's just gone on a tear. She also has beaten Nadine. I was there for that fight. So it's just been a great performance in all around for that one. And I was just talking to Nadine just the other day, actually, at the Versus event. And talking about her, she's doing now the knuckles, bare knuckle fighting and stuff. So, and I know she's a fantastic fighter as well, because I've seen her personally train. I was there in her corner for that fight. So, man, this is going to be a really tough one. It's a little early to start, kind of calling it. But I think I'm going to go with Munoz on this fight.
You're talking about 2 great camps too, right? Because Ellie fights out of Lobo, which is obviously Diego and Alessandro and Alexa Grasso, and the role that they're on. Roar, we just talked about Jose Roar. That role that the Lobo gym, they're local right there in Guadalajara.
Yep.
So she's going to have the hometown advantage. But like you said, just the absolute tear that Fernanda Munoz has been on. She fights out of Antrim, which Brandon Moreno and all those fighters out of Tijuana. It's going to be a tough matchup. I'm still on that Fernanda Munoz train. I'm not sleeping on Ellie Rodriguez, because I know Ellie's been training like crazy. But I don't see anybody in that flyweight division that can stop Fernanda Munoz. She is just so possessed every time she gets in that cage.
Yeah. And so it's going to be a great calling for Ellie Rodriguez, though. It's going to be an opportunity. She can get through her. If she can get through Munoz, it's going to really set her apart and give her kind of the confidence that she needs to kind of really break out, man. But it's going to be a really tough matchup for her, I think. She's going to have to come in with her A game, and she's going to have to come in with the best skill set that she's ever put together.
Yeah. Real quick before we get out of here and do what we do for the day. Just real quick, I know it's way too early to talk about this card because it's always subject to change. I just want to point out there are some other highlights on this card to look at. You got Mimo Torres against Vic Moreno on this card. You have Mauricio Hammer Alfonso against – I feel so bad for Uriel Casillo in this one, because I know Casillo, weight-wise, they're the same. But, man, you see Mauricio Hammer, he's
yeah, he's stacked.
He fits a 170-pound frame into 135 pounds.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, man.
I don't know how – I think eventually he has to go up in weight. I just don't see him continue at 135 pounds because he is so built.
He's short. He's not very tall. So
he's short, but he is so stocky.
And he's a wrestler, man, who's got some crazy power at 135. So, and his wrestling, dude, it's gonna be a tough fight for Casillo. But I think if Casillo can stay this distance, he could have a good shot here in this fight. It's a very interesting matchup, stylistically speaking. Because he does Casillo's really good at keeping range. He's just got to keep this fight on the feet and just be elusive in this fight. But man, Hammer, man, he throws down. He's been knocking people out wrestling people.
You said he should be next for the title. So, I mean,
I agree. I think he's one. And that's another guy that really is being developed here within LUX Fight League. So it's a great chance for him to kind of step up the competition, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's taking on a kid who's have had lots of fight at LUX, and both guys have been, I think, maybe even had the same number of fights in the organization. If not, Casillo has had maybe slightly a little bit more.
We talked about Uriel, how he's been up and down and fought his way back up and then loses, and then he kind of fights his way back up. I mean, the guy has all the potential in the world. I just see I see kind of a skill gap here. I think Mauricio's on a rocket ship to the top.
Yeah.
And I think Uriel, unfortunately, is in the way. But
yeah.
That's not to say he can't grab him and do something and pull off a slick submission or something. So
right. I think it's going to be, stylistically, it's going to be an exciting matchup. I think that's a good matchup because it has so many dynamics into this fight. I feel
like they took a lot of the proposed September card that they decided to push off and just go to October and mix it with this card, because this card is so stacked.
Yeah.
I mentioned those. Also, former interim champion Andrea Vasquez is on this card. You got Draco Camargo in the challenger card against Ayala. And I might get in trouble for saying this because I probably shouldn't have known this. But Draco was originally talked about fighting Tarzan. And for whatever reason, they decided to switch up the opponents to probably make the card work better. So they could both be headliners kind of. But that's another guy, Drago Camargo's in that 170-pound division. This was the one title I was talking about earlier this summer that we needed.
Yeah.
Right? We needed the 170-pound division because some of these guys are getting bigger. We know LUX Fight League for the smaller guys, but some of these, we talked about the 185-pound division with Bam Bam Valenzuela, then he lost. And so, like, that division now is kind of like, well, what are we going to do with this? But there's no lack of fighters at 170.
Yeah.
Like, there's at least 6 or 7 really great fighters that could be fighting for a title. 155-pound division's kind of like, but for whatever reason, 170 is where it's at. And that seems to be getting a lot of buzz right now for any of the bigger fighters coming in. I say bigger, but in Mexico, LUX Fight League, that they are kind of the bigger fighters.
Right.
And then mixing it up with the 125, 35, and now 45-pound divisions. A lot of excitement going forward for LUX Fight League. And I know you're excited to get back down to Guadalajara. Last time you had the time of your life. So we'll see what happens. You going to visit family again this time?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll meet up with some more sightseeing stuff. There's some more family that I didn't really get to hang out with last time. But
are you going to send me back some tequila this time?
I'll send you back some too. This time for sure,
or
man.
Mezcal. I'm not particular. I love both.
Okay. I will for sure, man. Dude, Guadalajara is just a beautiful place, man. I'm looking forward to going there more often. So if we can really invest more time in Guadalajara, I'd be very appreciative for Luke. So
I think it would be a good move. They have so many fighters from there, so many camps based out of Guadalajara and Jalisco, and not too far away. You got Mexico City, so it's not too much of a travel problem. Yeah, I think it's a good market for Luke's definitely going forward. But I will let you get out of here and enjoy your rest of your Labor Day. Of course, the show will come out on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. Check out Fighters First, like we said. Get that new Anwar Alberto shirt. Support the fighters. Support the brand. Any final words this week, Alex?
I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. I'll be showcasing LUX 36. Absolutely.
We'll be back a couple weeks to do the full preview. We know we gave you a little bit, but, cards are always subject to change. So we'll give you the full detailed preview in a couple of weeks. For that, everybody enjoy your week. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. I'm Mike Ginn. That's Alex Soto. This is Crossing Borders, and we're out.